So I'm here with the women's amateur champion Jess Baker in the week before the 2023 championship. Jess won at Hunstanton last year in Norfolk. One of the great stories of amateur golf last year, which we covered in depth on Golf News 24. And we're here to talk about her year and obviously playing in the majors and playing at the Open and everything else that she did. The first question I was going to ask you, Jess, actually was, it felt like obviously it was a huge thing for you to do. Looking back, was it as big as kind of like a life-changing moment for you? Was it as big as that, for example?
Yeah, I think there's definitely parts of it that are life changing. I think there's kind of two sides of looking at it. Because like I've chatted about it in the debrief with my coach, and we always talk about like the life changing thing, and it's like part of my life has changed, and that I have grown so much as a person over this whole year. I will never have this year of experience again. Like I'm so fortunate that I had those majors and those LPGA events. Because looking forward in my career, like hopefully I'll have those experiences again. But to have them as an amateur, where I'm not thinking about making the cut really or making any money, it's just like absolutely crucial. For me as a young golfer, and it's like that part of my life has changed in the sense that I've grown so much and I've learned so much and I've had all of this experience. But ultimately, like we were just saying, I'm going back to uni in a couple of months' time, and like that part hasn't changed. I'm still going to get my degree. I'm still going to come back home and have the same family. So I guess there's always two sides looking at it. But yeah, I guess it's just been a fantastic year of all of these life lessons.
We'll start at the beginning, or almost at Hunstanton. I mean, I don't know how often you think about it. I guess you think about it a lot. But there's the things that jump out was the holding the putt to make the match play. So you hold
Yeah,
the 25 footer, didn't you?
yeah.
I don't know how often you replay that in your mind. I'd be replaying it every day. But just the people that you beat and the way that you played, it just felt like watching you play, because the great thing about the amateurs, we get to see quite a lot of it, which is rare
Yeah.
for an amateur tournament. It just looked like, well, what's about? She's obviously that good. The world
Mhm.
ranking, people are talking about the world ranking. You came under the radar a bit, but I mean, what just sort of reflecting now on that week, what are your sort of main takeaways?
Yeah, I think definitely that part that hold it. I mean, I don't really think about it that much. I think having had the experience now, it's like my life has been pretty chaotic since then. So it is like I like reflecting and like doing all of that kind of thing. So it is nice to look back on those moments and memories. But I think ultimately being a competitor, I'm always looking forward to this event next week and like to the next events I'm playing in. As harsh as that sounds, that's kind of the mindset you've got to be in. So yeah, there are definitely parts of it that I look back on, and I really enjoy those memories. Um and yeah, I think my putt was on fire that week, and I think it felt so natural throughout the whole experience. I've always talked about since the day we got there. Obviously, it's like a 4 or 5 hour drive for us, so we kind of made a little bit of a holiday out of it with my
Mm.
family, and we had such a nice Airbnb, and like it just felt really natural to be there all together. And I think with golf as well, there's never been like too much pressure on performances. I think a lot of the way that I sort of work is very much grounded in like process and routine and sort of the journey behind the performance, if that makes sense. So it's not so much about getting top tens or wins or that kind of thing. It's always about the journey and enjoying that journey. And that's definitely what I felt like I did really well that week, was just kind of enjoy the matches and just sort of give myself a chance. And I obviously wanted to win. I'm not saying that at all, but yeah, I just kind of enjoying those moments and sort of being a true competitor in that time as well.
We took Golf is massively about mindset, isn't it? And being able to, control what's going on up here is with everything that's swirling around. And I
Mhm.
think people who don't play the game to a high level don't understand like off the course things, in terms
Yeah.
of affecting you emotionally and all that kind of stuff. When you look back at how well you played, and it wasn't comfortable by any stretch of the imagination, but you just felt it, just when you're watching, you just felt like you were so in control of everything you were doing.
Mhm.
Was the secret kind of almost that ability to just, you were able to stay in the moment? You were never sort of thinking about, for example, when you beat the Italian in the quarterfinal, you didn't start to think, oh God, actually, I'm on one away here. Were you
Mhm.
constantly just thinking in the moment kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that's what you have to do in match play. I think it's very easy in any competition to get carried away with your thoughts, and it's even happened to me after I've won, and like it's natural, like it's gonna happen to everybody. But as I was saying earlier, you know, it's all about what I do beforehand that sort of prepares me for those moments. And with my coach, we do a lot of like mindfulness, like journaling, meditation was a big thing for me last year, and I felt like that sort of skill that I had that I think a lot of other people didn't have. And I suppose when you look at how good we all are at this stage, it's sort of looking at those the extra like 1% that can
Mm,
always get me
yeah.
better, and thinking outside the box in that sense. So yeah, that was definitely something I had under my armor that definitely came into hand at the end. So yeah, it definitely was about staying in the moment, and just sort of like being 100% concentrated on everything I was doing. um you know, there was a lot of people there was cameras, it's being recorded. One of the first times like I've had something like that, and obviously I've had experience since then, but you know, thinking back to that time, and yeah, it was just kind of about going through that, I guess, and just being fully present. And I definitely noticed that massively on that final part against Louise, because I knew what it was for, and I knew that she was sort of out of the hole, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I just remember like manually breathing, like I had to remind myself how to like breathe. But it was like all that I was focused on was that part. I really wasn't thinking about Augusta or like the Open,
Mm.
anything that's coming up. It was like I've got to get this done first, and then I can think about that.
You talked about meditation. People be
Mhm.
interested to know. Obviously, top players, there's so much more than just the mechanics of hitting a golf ball, which we was less and more tend to focus on. Where did that come from, and is that something that you get in college, or tell us about that?
Yeah, so that definitely came from my coach, Andy Paisley. So I've been working with him for about 5 or 6 years now, and yeah, he's really into sort of self reflection, and I've read so many books, like recommendations from him, and it's just I felt like he sort of pushed me to be a better person, not just a better golfer. And as I say, that's a skill that's definitely come in handy through a lot of my experiences so far. So yeah, I mean, we talk about it a lot. I reflect a lot. I've gone through numerous journals and things like that, and that for me is just a way of sort of processing everything that's happened in the day. And as I say, I felt like I was doing that really well last year. So it's sort of like being in control of what I can control in my head. And everybody knows match play is obviously quite an in your head kind of sport, you know, format. So yeah, I guess for me it was about being in control of that part of my mind, and so that was all I could do at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm just looking at you finished ninth in the Rule Trophy before that.
Yeah.
This year you finished eighth.
Uh,
Um, Flicking ahead now in terms of everyone's going to be looking at you this week. So you've got the burden of being the defending champion. But are you able to compare where you are this time last year to where you are this time last? I mean, obviously you talk about all the experience that you've had, which we'll go into. But how are you feeling sort of 3 or 4 days before the event?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I've not really had it on this kind of stage before, so there's going to be a lot of attention, and I'm fully prepared for that. So there's going to be no shocks or surprises when I get there, I'm sure. But yeah, I think just kind of enjoying like we've already said it, but enjoying that experience, because you know, golf's not really a game of winning all the time. So I guess just sort of taking that on my stride, and I think ultimately I'm as much of a competitor as anybody else, and everybody's trying to beat me. So it's like all I've got to do is go and play golf. And I think if I sort of take it too far and sort of get in my own way a little bit, I think I've just got to sort of, you know, feel like I'm one of the field, because that's all I am at the end of the day.
Mm.
As much as the attention is on me, you know, everybody's still trying to beat each other. Um, so yeah, and I mean, I'm sure hopefully I'll have this experience again, and I'm just learning all the way, and you know, it's just the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, it was obviously a bit of a whirlwind after winning. You played in the Evian
Mhm.
a month after, and then the Open's only sort of 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
Then you played in the Canadian Open, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 weeks after that. Are you able to sort of talk about those? I mean, obviously the 150th, you got to play in this little 4-hole thing with who were you
Mhm.
playing with? Were you with Morikawa?
Yeah, it was Colin Morikawa, Anna Norquist, and Keita Nakajima.
Yeah, who was the
Mhm.
world amateur #1 at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Hmm.
That little period, are you able to sort of talk us through the kind of the highlights and maybe the things that people may not know happened? It's obviously a lot to take on board when you've just been used to playing amateur events in front of, a
Yes.
man and his dog kind of thing.
No, definitely. Yeah, everything was pretty much a whirlwind those couple of weeks afterwards. So I actually went on holiday straight away, which was a funny one. But yeah, no, it was like came back from holiday, and it was straight into St Andrews, and yeah, we weren't really we didn't know what to expect when we got there. I initially thought I was there to go and watch the golf, let alone play in it. So it was a very much a whirlwind thing, but that was one of my highlights of the year, honestly. Just with how unique the event was. Obviously playing with three of the best players in the world, walking down one of the most iconic courses, like I literally couldn't write it. So that was amazing. And then yeah, it was literally the week after that we were off to Avion. And that was really nice as well. My dad actually grew up not far from Avion, so we stayed in like a family house, and my brother came over, and that was a really nice time as well. And the weather was awesome. I think it was the heat wave that week, so it was hot, and just really cool to experience my first LPGA event, first major, and just sort of be around the best players in the world, having just won an event and kind of still on cloud nine. So that was amazing. And then obviously a couple of weeks after that was the Open at Muirfield, and yeah, that one was tough, I think, because I really wanted to do well, and the course just kind of beat me, to be honest. Those bunkers are absolutely brutal. Um, so yeah, as much as everyone can say as much as you want to do well, it doesn't always happen. And I think that was a little bit of reality check for me. Coming into the rest of the year. So yeah, no, it was still an incredible event, and I mean the show that they put on for us was amazing. I think I was talking to the RNA guys, and they were saying they literally take the tents from St Andrews to Muirfield. So we had everything that the men had, and I think that was a huge step for women's golf as well. There's just this massive like cafeteria, and like anything you wanted, they would give it to you. And it was sort of that first time as an amateur being in that arena was really, really fun. So yeah, and then Canada was a good one as well. I was actually back in college by then, so that felt a little bit different out there with my dad, and we really enjoyed that event. And I missed the cut by one, so that one kind of stung a little bit as well. Um, but I had so much fun at that event, and I think that really gave me a taste for the rest of the year, and really pushed me on in the rest of the fall season out in the States, and just kind of kept me sort of pushing on the tail a bit, and just sort of keep it going momentum wise. So yeah, and then obviously incredible experiences this year at Anwar, and where have I just been? Chevron.
Yeah.
Forget about that one. And then US Open this summer. So it's like it's just you can't believe that this has been my year. But yeah, I guess I'm just kind of sad it's over with the amateur champion. But yeah.
Were you able to sort of pick the brains, notice things that, things you were expecting that the pros were doing? And it's one of those things, isn't it? That you can all hit the shots. You can hit the shots, they can hit the shots. Trying to explain to a layman the difference between, the 10th best pro in the world and the 10th best amateur in the world is quite hard, actually.
Yeah, it is.
It's such tiny margins, isn't it, at that level, which people don't appreciate. So, where people are in amateur events, the 12 handicappers have got big landing areas, you've got tight fairways, you've only got like a small area to land it on and all that. Was that even more noticeable when you were playing the majors and the pro events?
Yes, I think as you say, it's very difficult to sort of differentiate between the two. And I think one of the main things that I actually took away from those experiences was how close I actually am. Because I think when you sort of look at them on TV, or you see the scores and you're like, oh my God, I could never do that over 4 rounds. But then I've played with them, and I played with Laura Davies, Dame Laura Davies at Muirfield, and Lynn Grant at Muirfield, and like incredible. And I remember Lynn Grant on one of the holes, she just like absolutely stuck it to like 3 feet from 200 yards out into a wind. And if you'd have given me 20 balls, I could probably have done the same, but she did it under pressure at the time, and she did it throughout the whole 18 holes. And I guess it was that consistency that I really saw the difference in. Because as you say, you know, you can all hit the shots, but doing it under pressure, doing it at the times that matter, was sort of the standout for me. So it's definitely that part of it. And then I think just kind of like short game, like you can always go back to that and putting. And I noticed that a lot at Avion. I played with Pauline Bouchard, and she was one of the home favourites because she's from France, and they had a big crowd following her. So that was really fun to play with her. But you know, just kind of picking up on her mannerisms and the way that she carried herself, and the crucial putts that she made was really good to see, actually, from my perspective. And I think a lot of times as an amateur, you sort of, I don't know if it's a little bit naive, but you sort of start the round just kind of trying to ease yourself in there and see what the day is looking like. But I think as a pro, you're like off from day one. You're like, let's do it, let's win the tournament. And it's sort of that intensity all the way around, rather than just kind of like seeing how today's going to go. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit more intense in a good way. So yeah, there was a certain couple of things I picked up from there.
And just in terms of your game generally now, you've played in a lot of tournaments, played in the Augusta National Women's Amateur as well. So a real kind of kaleidoscope of different venues all over the world, obviously. You know, how are you feeling? What's the game like in terms of your confidence and your form and everything else?
Yeah, I feel really good with my game. I've had a really good college season out in America in the spring, so I'm definitely taking a lot of confidence from that. I think I finished like top 10 in my last 4 events, so it's definitely getting there. And as I said earlier, you know, I'm still a competitor like everybody else, and I know if I can make it to match play, anything can happen, rightly or wrongly. That's the way it goes in match play. So I'll back
As
myself
you
every time.
approved.
Yes, exactly. And you know, there's always a little bit of hope in there. So I'm definitely feeling good about it. And there's no reason why I can't go and do it again. So I guess that's the way I'm looking at it.
And is Dad Steve on the bag again?
He is, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he's looking forward to it, isn't he?
Yes. No,
Does
we've
it
had a lot of experience.
while he's caddying, has he been caddying you for all these majors and following you around the world a bit?
Yes, so he's been with me at every event, and he's caddied for all of them apart from Augusta. So I got a local caddy for that one.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Is he managing to do any work and earn any money? Is he caddying
Well,
you?
I don't know. Well, luckily he retired actually the year that I won,
Oh
so
wow. Okay.
timing worked out fantastically. But yes, he's actually working right now, and
Yeah.
he's down in London for a bit, so it's a little bit difficult at times, but no, we make it work.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Jess, and good luck at
Yeah.
Prince's. Have you played it before? Do you know much?
No, never been. I've heard a lot of amazing things about it though. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Take care. Thanks.